Your grandmother grew 5 illegal plants. Your grandfather ate 3 of them for breakfast. Today, that same garden could get you fined, arrested, reported to federal authorities. Not because these plants became more dangerous, because an industry became more profitable. This is the archive of seeds they tried to erase. The archive opens in 1943. 20 million American families, victory gardens in every backyard, 40% of the nation's vegetables grown at home. No permits, no restrictions, no fear. Your grandmother grew water spinach because it was nutritious. Your grandfather planted kudzu because the government told him to. The autumn olive bush in the corner? The USDA sent the seeds. Some of those plants are now illegal. Not because they changed, because the system changed. The most dangerous plants in America aren't dangerous to you. They're dangerous to an industry that profits from your dependence. Let me show you. 2 billion people eat this vegetable every day. In Vietnam, morning markets overflow with bundles of rau muong. Children grow up eating it. Grandmothers cook it. It costs pennies. For 4,000 years, water spinach has been a staple across Southeast Asia. Higher in iron than regular spinach. More protein per serving. A complete food that grows in water, asks nothing, and feeds everyone. In America, it's classified as a noxious weed. Banned in Texas, restricted in Florida, illegal to transport in California. The official reason? Aquatic invasive species. The real reason? A plant that grows itself, needs no pesticides, and costs nothing to maintain. Competes with commercial produce. Watercress grows the same way. Watercress is legal. The difference? Watercress has a lobby. The World Health Organization recognizes water spinach as a superfood for malnutrition programs. The same U.S. government that bans it in Texas ships it overseas to feed hungry children. Apparently, it's only dangerous when you grow it. But water spinach isn't the only plant they erased. Some plants, they didn't just ban. They promoted, then banned. In Japan, kudzu is revered. The roots make starch, the leaves feed livestock, the flowers make medicine. For centuries, it sustained communities. In 1876, America discovered kudzu. By the 1930s, the government was paying farmers $8 an acre to plant it. The miracle vine that will save the South. Your great-grandparents were paid to plant what you're now fined to remove. By 1953, kudzu was quietly removed from the recommended list. By the 1970s, it was declared a noxious weed. The official reason? It grows a foot per day, covers everything. The real reason? You can't sell pesticides to kill a plant that has no natural predators. You can't sell fertilizer to grow a plant that fixes its own nitrogen. You can't monetize a solution that doesn't need you. The only crime kudzu committed was growing too well without corporate help. The roots contain starch that fed millions in Asia. The leaves are 15 to 20% protein, better than alfalfa. The flowers make jelly, tea, and traditional medicine. Modern research? Isoflavones showing promise for alcoholism treatment. A plant with edible roots, nutritious leaves, and medicinal flowers labeled useless weed. At least kudzu was an accident. The government promoted it, then regretted it. What comes next was deliberate betrayal. In the 1950s and 60s, the USDA actively promoted autumn olive. They gave farmers seeds, told them to plant, promised benefits, erosion control, wildlife habitat, nitrogen fixing. This plant will save your soil. Your father received government seeds. Your father planted government-recommended trees. Today, the same government bans autumn olive. Property owners are fined for having it. Some states require removal. They gave your father seeds. Now they fine your children for the trees. The official reason? Invasive species. The real reason? A berry bush that needs no care, produces abundantly, and feeds wildlife for free. Doesn't generate agricultural revenue. Autumn olive berries contain 17 times more lycopene than tomatoes, more antioxidants than blueberries. They make jams, jellies, fruit leather, wine. The most nutritious berry in North America, and you're not supposed to know about it. But the hypocrisy doesn't stop at berries. Some plants, they ban you from growing, then sell you pills made from them. In Japan, they call it itadori, pain reliever. For centuries, children harvested the spring shoots. Grandmothers pickled them. Families stir-fried them. The flavor? Tart and lemony, like rhubarb. It's food, it's medicine, it's culture. In America, Japanese knotweed is called the most invasive plant in the world. It's illegal to spread. Fines run into thousands. In the UK, it can void your mortgage, devalue your home by 10%. A vegetable that's eaten in Asia is a felony to spread in America. Japanese knotweed is the richest natural source of resveratrol, more than red wine, more than grapes. The supplement industry, $30 million market, all using knotweed extract. Walk into any health store, you'll find resveratrol pills. Check the label. Source, Polygonum cuspidatum, Japanese knotweed. They fine you for growing it, then sell you pills made from it. And then there's the plant they called a terrorist. European settlers didn't accidentally bring garlic mustard. They planted it on purpose because it fed them. For centuries, it was a staple green. Salads, cooked dishes, a garlic flavor that cost nothing. Your ancestors brought seeds across the ocean because this plant meant survival. Today, garlic mustard is called an ecological terrorist. The claim? Allelopathy. It poisons other plants. The reality? Forests face 100 threats. Deer overpopulation, climate change, development, pollution. But which one makes a convenient scapegoat? The free food growing in the understory. A salad green your great-grandmother ate, now called a terrorist. Garlic mustard is completely edible. High in vitamin A, high in vitamin C, good fiber. It grows everywhere. Costs nothing. Feeds anyone willing to harvest it. Free food growing in every forest that you're told to destroy. Do you see the pattern? Step 1. Introduce or promote a plant. Step 2. Plant succeeds. Too well. Step 3. Can't be controlled. Can't be monetized. Step 4. Reclassify as invasive or noxious. Step 5. Ban. Fine. Erase from memory. Step 6. Sell the commercial alternative. It's not about danger. It's not about ecology. It's about control. But here's what they didn't expect. These plants didn't disappear. They waited. In grandmother's gardens, where no one checked. In immigrant backyards, where the old ways survived. In the memory of anyone who remembers what freedom tasted like. The seeds are still here. The knowledge is still here. The archive remembers. The archive doesn't close today. It continues through every seed you plant that someone told you was forbidden. Every garden that grows what the system tried to erase. Every meal made from food they said you shouldn't have. You are not a consumer. You are an archivist. The keepers of seeds they tried to delete. The guardians of gardens they tried to outlaw. If knowledge like this shouldn't be lost again, you know what to do. The Green Archive.